Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Wow, that's dedication and determination on pro level. ROP tolerated the antics of crazy neighbors for a long time and brought it to the point that the neighbors moved out. So don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. The horrible downstairs neighbors and the shared boiler. A saga of revenge. My family moved into the upstairs unit of a split-level duplex about 4 years ago. We met with the downstairs neighbors who informed us they were also moving out in the next couple of months. Things were peaceful. They moved, and for about 3 months we didn't have any neighbors. Then one day, the big lock was gone from the neighbor unit's door, a moving van appeared, and we had neighbors again. They were an older couple and very reserved. We tried to be friendly, but they made it pretty apparent right from the start that they weren't interested in any more contact than was necessary. That was fine, honestly. I'm not huge on being insta-friends with neighbors anyways. I figured we'd just leave each other be. Within the first 2 days, the neighbor lady came up complaining about us banging around upstairs. It was strange because we'd just been going about our normal business, and our son hadn't been horsing around or anything. We promised to try and be quieter, but not long after she'd left, she was back at our door saying, "You're doing it again. You have to stop this." We weren't doing anything. We suggested any number of things she could have been hearing, the old plumbing, the building shared boiler kicking up, but she wouldn't have any of it. A couple of days later, we got a formal noise complaint from our property managers. Things rapidly went downhill from there. We couldn't listen to music at any volume. I couldn't play my guitar ever. We couldn't run our washer, dryer, or dishwasher when they were home, which was most of the time. We could barely turn on our faucets. Walking had to be cat-like, and God forbid our son laugh, jump, or play. Any infraction had the neighbors pounding on their ceiling, the stairwell walls, or our door. We started reporting incidents to the property manager. At first, it was difficult because they'd reported first, and every time I called them to try to explain that this was getting ridiculous, they'd dismiss me with some kind of platitude about how we'd come to a compromise together. To top it off, at Christmas, the neighbor got a punching bag and set it up in his garage. This would have been fine, except he practiced at 4 in the morning every day, and the garage was located directly next to our bedroom. He'd hit that thing so hard it'd shake the house. We tried to talk to him about it, but he blew us off. He still had the gall to complain about noise all the time, too. The final straw was about 6 months into living with them. I remember because the day started with me walking down my hallway to go take a shower, and the neighbors started pounding on the floor beneath me, screaming to keep quiet. It scared the crap out of me. Later that day, around 6 p.m., our son had a small accident and spilled some food all over himself. We took the dirty clothes and set them to wash in the washing machine. The neighbor started beating on the door. He was yelling, and it sounded and felt like he was throwing his whole weight against it. I actually had a panic attack and took our son to his room while my husband went to face the man. He was shouting about how much noise he had to put up with all the time, and my husband was trying to explain that he was being totally unreasonable. The guy poked my husband hard in the chest and said, "If the management doesn't do something about you, I will." It was only a vague threat, but it was enough to get the managers to take us seriously, at least. We filed a police report and managed to get a formal complaint for once. However, I was still terrified by what had happened. Although the neighbors were older, the man was certainly still strong, and the escalation had me so frightened I felt like there was nothing I could do but wait for him to intimidate us again. But then I hatched a plan. The neighbor would get up early to work out with his punching bag. He'd start around 4 a.m., then I'd hear his wife leave the house to go to work about 4:30. Then at 5, he'd stop, shut his garage, return inside and take a shower, then head to work himself. Our duplex has a shared boiler. I mentioned for heat and hot water, it's actually a pretty good size, but it doesn't take long to exhaust. So I began. The dreadful rumble of the punching bag would begin, and I would lie awake, waiting for the neighbor lady to leave the house. The second I heard her car pull out of the driveway, I'd spring out of bed and run to the bathroom, crank the heat on the tub's faucet as high as it would go, and then wait. Once I heard the garage door start to close, I'd run back in and turn it off. The first couple of times I didn't hear much, a disgruntled murmur maybe. I was diligent. This guy couldn't stand much irritation. I knew I just had to be patient. The third day I did this, I heard a loud bang from the downstairs bathroom and him shouting. Not at us, just in general, before more banging around, slamming the door, and peeling out of the driveway in his truck. I kept it up. Every day I heard his effing punching bag, I'd wait eagerly in bed to ruin his post-workout shower. It got to where it was fun. Once I went back into the bathroom to test the water before he stopped his workout, and it was ice cold. I actually threw back my head and laughed. It felt good to get him back, even though it was really, really petty. We stopped hearing complaints, the guy slowly reduced his morning workouts, we started seeing plumbers parked in their lot, and then we started seeing confused and frightened plumbers hastily leaving while the neighbors screamed at them when they couldn't find anything wrong. We got phone calls from the management asking if we were having issues with our hot water, and my husband had to suppress wild giggles at the look on my face when I said, "No, it's been working fine." Things calmed down, the outburst tapered off, and one fine day as spring began to arrive, I saw the neighbors loading their furniture into the back of their truck. By the way, the day they moved out, the hot water magically came back. It was awesome. They moved out and we got new neighbors. We haven't had any complaints since, and life has been good. It's been about 3 years, and I still get a warm feeling when I recall how I got those jerks back. And our second story. You won't settle until I send a file type your computer will open? Okay. Hey guys, I hope you'll all enjoy another lawyer story. Client comes in with a seemingly simple auto collision. Client was hit, other driver got out and said something like, "Oh my God, are you okay? I'm so sorry. I dropped my phone and reached to get it." Client had a dash cam which recorded the whole thing, including the admission of guilt. Easy client, right? Turns out the admission was really important because the type of accident didn't make a determination of fault easy. Imagine a rear-end collision at a red light is an easy determination, but a collision at a four-way stop sign is a hard determination. When the cops showed up, the police report found both drivers at fault and did not mention any statements from the other driver. But we have our admission and my client's damages were above the other guy's policy limit, so I send a demand to the insurance company for policy limits. Note that the insurance company has an obligation to negotiate in good faith, which becomes important later. Lawyer from insurance reaches out and says, basically, look, my client says they were driving safely and the police report says shared fault. The initial offer is like 10 grand. I replied, yeah, but my client had a dash cam and it recorded your client admitting fault. It's important to understand that this was before dash cams were common. It wasn't my first case with a dash cam, but it might have been my third or fourth. No mention of the dash cam was made on the police report. Insurance attorney says, I imagine while twirling a dumb mustache, interesting. Can you send me a copy of the video? I say sure and send it over. He replies, I can't open this. So I send him a link to VLC Media Player. It's a weird extension and Windows Media Player won't play it, but VLC will. Just follow the installer instructions and it should play no problem. He says, I'm not installing something to watch your alleged dash cam video. Send me a file I can play if you want me to consider it. This makes me unhappy, but I tried again. It'll take less than a few minutes to install. You can watch the video and listen to your client admit fault. He said, we're done here until you send something I can play. Cue malicious compliance music, country grammar. Start super cool montage of me going through other client files. Stop montage as I open a file and my face is bathed in a golden light radiating from an old Memorex CD. So I found a different dashcam video which did not contain any sound, but it could be played with Windows Media Player, and it was close enough to my current client's facts that if you weren't paying attention it could pass. Other attorney just asked for a file he could play, right? I sent it over, he says, wow, no sound, guess you're done, buddy. So I sued. During discovery, I sent a CD over which included the original video and a copy of VLC. He must have ignored it because he didn't say anything about it. During a pretrial motion hearing, I played the video for the judge. The judge might have heard the other lawyer's jaw hit his desk. The insurance attorney says, Your Honor, this is not the video he sent to me. In my mind's eye, I can see the Death Star preparing to fire. Judge, I thought he might say that. Here's a copy of our emails where I described the video, provided the video, and sent instructions on how to play it. Here's a copy of the CD I sent with discovery, which also has the video and a copy of VLC. Finally, here's a copy of the unrelated video, which I sent to fulfill his request of something he could play. Other attorney asks for recess because he refused the initial demand of policy limits. I told him I'd argue he did not negotiate in good faith. We settled for well above policy limits. Client was very happy. And our last story. My neighbor called the police and threatened to sue me. So I had a bed frame I bought from Amazon. I worked from home and had been checking the tracking and noticed that it had been delivered. There was no package on my porch. When I went outside and looked around, I noticed there was a large package on my neighbor's porch, so I went over and saw that it was indeed my package addressed to me. I took the package over to my house since it was mine. This happened maybe 2 weeks ago. The policy showed up at my house today because my neighbor had called them and told them I had stolen a package and he had CCTV of me stealing my own package. I explained to the police that I no longer had the box the bed frame came in. I did, however, give them the invoice that came with the bed frame and showed them the bed frame. I also logged into my Amazon to show them that the delivery date was the same day I took the package. They seemed to believe me and explained to him and also showed him the invoice. They took a statement from me and told me they would be in contact if there were any further issues, but they didn't charge me with anything and just left after they spoke with me. Now my neighbor has emailed me saying he's going to take me to small claims court for trespassing and theft, and he listed the amount as $2,000. The bed frame I bought off Amazon was $190, and I didn't cause any damage to his property while retrieving it. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.